Hey everybody, it's Jenny coming to you with an update on my round 3 of HCG. Just got started again, did only one day of loading, circumstances. Won't go through all the details. But I kind of had a couple days before that. I just had one day of loading with drops before I went on to the diet, but I ate fine, plenty the days leading up to it, so I loaded without the drops. Anyway, why do I sometimes only do one day of loading and you're not supposed to do that? Because I find for me, it doesn't take me 2 days to feel like the HCG is in my system. After 24 hours and 3 doses of drops, I'm feeling full. I'm feeling like I've had a meal all day long. So my eating are just habits and patterns and desire to put food in my mouth and the desire to chew on something, and that's where it comes from, not really hunger cravings. So I don't find it necessary to force that into me. There's different trains of thought on that. Some people say it's absolutely necessary because you have to satiate yourself and to a point of overage. and and definitely if I do load for 2 days, I get like that, and real uncomfortable. And yes, it makes day one really easy on the diet because you don't want to eat anything that day, but it also makes it, for me and somebody who just likes the process of eating, and I don't eat because of hunger, I eat because I enjoy eating. It makes it hard to have 2 full days of just a ton of food and then boom, 500 calories every day. I just find that difficult with my type of personality and my kind of food addiction, if you will. So, you do you, boo. And I thought that today that's just what I would talk about, is just that there's not a whole lot of hard and fast rules. Originally, when I first did the protocol, I did it to the letter of the law. And yes, I lost a lot of weight on it. And if you want to, then you should do that too. But I don't believe in shaming people or shaking your finger at someone who mixes their vegetables when they're on the diet or eats some different vegetables that aren't on the protocol, that they have green beans or something that, oh, it's not listed on the protocol, you can't have it. I mean, that I was very, very rigid like that the first time, and it was only the stuff on the protocol. I did, after my first round, lose about half my hair, and I started doing it about a month afterwards. So I don't really understand that. It's not that I just started noticing it, like I was losing it throughout the whole thing, because the drain in the shower was fine. But about 30 days after I did the diet the first time, the drain would be covered in hair and I'd have to clear it out twice during each shower. And that lasted for about a month. I mean, I started wondering how much thinner can my hair get. It started looking really anemic. Even my kids kind of noticed and they just said, Mom, I don't really like your hair that short. And it was only because I had to keep cutting it shorter because, and probably what they really meant to say is, it just doesn't look that great because it was so thin. And it was me continuing to cut it shorter because when it was longer and really that thin, then it really looked wispy and odd. So by cutting it shorter, at least I could kind of style it and try to get it to be a little puffier and look wider, which is why I also take the hair, skin, and nail vitamins. But then we talked about that yesterday, that the ones I'm taking, the doctor's not really recommending I stay on. But um, anyway, I did notice that it's not, I thought it was the HCG that was causing that to happen. Because for some reason, after every pregnancy, I lost a lot of hair too. Now, I've heard that when you're pregnant, that you have luscious, glorious hair, and that's shiny and full, and all that. And then it makes sense that if you don't normally do that, that you don't keep that the rest of your life, and that it comes out. So I didn't think a whole lot about it, but when I started on HCG, I thought, oh, well, obviously it's the HCG hormone because it's the same hormone that you produce when you're pregnant. So it must be the hormone that causes you to keep this luscious hair and then lose it afterwards. Except that when I would lose it after my pregnancies, where I lost it most is in this upper part of my hairline here, where I have it. got like pretty thin and never completely came back. See how short these hairs are right here? Um, it never really came back to the fullness that it was the first time. And then I had 3 pregnancies, so every time I would lose it, I would have like the man's starting to bald, get bald pattern. And then it would start to grow back, real wispy and thin and kind of weak. And they don't grow very long. They're only about, so long. So sometimes I have spiky hairs sticking out. I mean, we each have our own cross to bear, right? So many worse things can happen in my life. But then I had a major surgery and a very long recovery, a week in the hospital, and then good 3 weeks of bed rest afterwards, where I couldn't eat anything because it was my gut. It was a ruptured appendix, but um, they had to move so much stuff around inside of me because it was so bad that my body kind of getting everything back to where it was and settling into its new normal was quite painful. And not to mention the incision that was like this long down my midline. So the thought of eating, like no appetite, no appetite. I always said, oh, can I have something that I have no appetite? And then God's like, all right, here you go. And I lost 17 pounds that week. And guess what? Once I got up and I started eating again and I was moving around and all that, the hair all started to fall out. So I realize that the extreme nature of dieting affects me. Now, something with pregnancy does as well. There was no extreme dieting happening during pregnancy, I guarantee you. So they're unrelated items, but the point being, it's not just the HCG. And I have found that by taking these pills and not being so strict, like 500 or less, I would always do between like 300 and 500 calories every day, because it does say in the protocol, if you don't feel like eating anything that day, you don't have to, because the drops are going to work and you're surviving on your own body fat. So I would always shoot for 300 and usually get to about 500, but some days be a little bit under, and it was always just plain turkey. And I mean, I was good. I was really good. And it was extremely restrictive, and I lost too much hair. So I don't want to go back there because it's never come back exactly as it was before, with either the pregnancies, with the diets, with the surgery. As it starts to grow back in again, I used to have really full, thick, curly hair, and not so much anymore. And you know what? With age comes the same thing. So I just wanted to kind of talk today about the fact that what is the main goal of HCG? What are we looking to do? What is the point of being really restrictive and really strict? Well, the main thing is you want to lose weight, right? And how do you lose weight? Just in general, with any diet, move more, eat less, lose weight, right? Very basic premise. Now, doesn't always work for everybody. Everyone's bodies are different, and that has to look different, because eat less, but eat what? The quality of what you're eating, the contents of what you're eating, the sugar content, the carb content, the protein amount, that all comes to play. So, so I just want to take a moment to say it's okay. It's okay with what you're doing. Hey, is the scale going down? All right. Did it go just down 0.2 today? Guess what? It went down 0.2. Can you imagine if your scale went down 0.2 every day after the course of a year? How much thinner you would be? So don't beat yourself up on the days that you don't lose a whole bunch, or that you do something that really makes you happy and feel fulfilled, but stays generally in guideline. Now, that doesn't mean go have a piece of chocolate pie. It's not what I'm talking about. I'm not saying have a cheat day. I'm not, like one of those diets where you're really, really restrictive, but then you have a cheat day one day of the week where you can eat whatever you want. Not saying that. I'm not saying that. I don't think that that works really well on HCG at all. But I'm saying if you do little things like tomatoes are not really on the diet, but I make a turkey chili for myself with spices, and then they also say be careful of the spices. I don't think any of the spices I use have any sugar in them. I think the chili powder would be the only one that has the potential of doing that because all the other spices are pure spices, but the chili powder, obviously, they mix different ingredients to get that. Probably some sort of pepper and cayenne. I don't even know what they all mix to make a chili. They're probably 4 or 5. So I'm not 100% sure if there's any carbs in that. But generally speaking, my spices are all pure spices, and there's no like hidden little carb or flour that they toss in there. I don't add the teaspoon of sugar that you're supposed to add to the recipe when I make my turkey chili. I also don't add the tablespoon of flour that you're supposed to put in there as a thickening agent. Just don't do it. If you leave the top off and let some of the water evaporate, it thickens. It just does. That's all you need to do. You don't need to add the flour. Um, so yeah, so that's my cheat, if you will. Um, and it's something that I will continue to do until the scale says different. And that's really the key. Your body eventually gets used to patterns of eating, and you need to shake it up a little bit. So if I can have one bowl of chili every day and feel content and feel full and feel happy and the scale's going down, okay, everything's good, right? Until like day number 8 or whatever it is, and I'm still like, I still like chili, I'm not sick of it, I'm gonna have a bowl of chili, and then the next morning I get on the scale and there's a stall, and then the next day it's plus point 0.1. Now we're starting to say, okay, your body's gotten too acclimated to this, you need to do something different. And shake it up. Eat something completely different and probably be a lot more restrictive for a short period of time too, to kick your body into no, 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 we need to lose weight again. Now, that being said, we know that there's stalls on this diet even for people who are perfectly following the protocol. You'll go through periods of stalls. So don't throw out the baby with the bathwater and give up on the diet. It happens to all of us. Um, Stick with it, is what I say. Stick with it. Okay, let me go over numbers. So I loaded for the one day, and the next day I lost point 0.3 after a load. That's not great. That's not great. Now, my loading, I only gained 1.3. So I guess in the vast scheme of things, usually I gain between 4 and 5 pounds on a load, and then the 2 days afterwards I lose 4 to 5 pounds. This time my loading, which includes all the days since the last time I was on there. No, that's not necessarily true. Well, anyway, since I started taking the drops, since before I started the drops, um, I had a couple days I didn't weigh in, so I'm just looking at the last weight that I was, because I just kind of stopped keeping track of everything because I wasn't doing the drops, I wasn't on the diet, I was supposed to be eating normally and drinking normally and clearing out my system of all the vitamins so they could get pure readings of everything. So I also had no HCG drops in my system, and that was for like 8 days. Um, I did notice that I did do a measurement to see where I was, and 3 days prior to when I did my load day, and so from that day I gained 1.3 pounds, but I believe I gained some more than that during that period of time, those 8 days. But at any rate, so that's just the number that I'm using because it was the number a few days before. So it was a 1.3 gain on loading, and the first day it was a minus 0.3. that was my one bowl of chili. I'm using that as an example because I'm living it and I know it well. And then yesterday I just thought, sticking with the protocol, it's just one small bowl of chili. I've got to lose weight. And sure enough, I got on the scale and today it said minus 1.6. So that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to know that actually in the 2 days after that load day, lost point th- I've lost point 0.6 more. I lost a half a pound more than where I was before. So makes me feel good. I think there's only one bowl of chili left. I have to buy some more ground turkey. So today I have a grilled chicken breast, small chicken plank. It's not 4 ounces, but I might have two of them. And get a bunch of lettuce and eat it with the lettuce today, just to kind of mix things up a little bit. And because I defrosted that chicken a few days ago, and I don't want it to go bad because it is good grilled chicken. So we'll see. I don't know. I'll talk to you tomorrow and see what I'm doing. But anyway, so I am technically on. I need to change this. I apologize that I'm doing this while I'm talking to you. I'm going to write load on that day. Yesterday would have been day 1, which makes today day 2. So now I'm going to have to go back through this chart and change all of them because I won't remember later and then I'll be confused when the days are all looking very different. Okay, I'll do that when I get off. All right, that's all I have for today. Just an update. I hope you're doing well. Somebody wrote me yesterday. I just read it in the email and I haven't had a chance to go to the actual site. And they had some fantastic numbers. If I remember, I'll go back and see if I can find it. Let me see if I can pull it up really quickly here. I love to hear when people are being really successful on the diet. Honestly, that makes me really happy that you're doing well, and it is motivating for me to hear about how you're doing too. All right, it was Jason. Jason is on day 17 and down 35 pounds. Awesome numbers. Awesome numbers. Share your numbers with me. I love to hear about it. It really does motivate me. It really does, because I like see other people being really successful, and then I'm like, yeah, no, this diet works. It's right. Remember those days when you used to lose a lot? Now I'm getting closer to the end, unfortunately, of my journey. I apologize. My pink fingers are because I made a drink mix today with a Splenda sweetened um, drink mix thing, and um, I dropped it into my cup. I had to pull it out with my fingers, and then the red got all over them. I think they're going to be red for the rest of the day. I tried getting it off, but to no avail. All right, and my fingernails have all kinds of paint in it because I am redoing my bathroom. I'm just a mess. All right, thank you for sharing all your updates with me. I will be in touch with you tomorrow or the next day, give you a couple more updates, and share anything new that comes to my mind about this diet as I go through it. And if there's any topics you want me to talk about, put a message down below and I'll do that. You take care. Have a great day. Bye.